1991, a year in review. A look back at the events and people making news at Iraklion Air Station over the past year.
Happy New Year. I'm Jim Helgevold. 1991 may go down in the history books as one of the most dramatic in the last 20 years. The United States entered a new year with 500,000 troops and millions of tons of equipment in the Middle East. The U.S. and its allies responded to a call to liberate Kuwait following Iraq's August 1990 invasion. American bases in the U.S. and overseas contributed people and equipment as part of the largest and quickest mobilization in history. Without an airfield, the role that Iraklion Air Station played in Operation Desert Shield and Storm was primarily one of support. 34 airmen from the base deployed, 2 are still in the region, and those left behind were pressed into often very unfamiliar roles as a result of the increased security imposed on the base. 12 and 16-hour workdays, security police augmenter duty, and a constant eye on the news filled the early months of 1991. By February, with the fighting over, it was time to assist those devastated by the war. When the call went out for support, Operation Provide Comfort came to life. Kurdish refugees by the tens of thousands forced to leave their homeland needed help, and members of Iraklion Air Station responded. 25 men and women from the base found themselves employing their professional skills in places like Salopi, Turkey, and Kirkuk, Iraq. 6 Iraklion airmen are still deployed to provide comfort too, and another pair will be on their way soon. It may have been less than desirable duty, but some, like local airman Lori Ellick of the commissary and Julie Stroup, would go back if they had to.
It was a good experience. It made me strong. I think I could do it again if I had to.
Well, I was glad to be coming home, but it makes you wonder. Most of the Kurdish are back in their homes now. Are they going to be staying that way? Is Saddam going to be doing anything else against them? Or is everything we do all for nothing?
Greece was a vital ally in the U.S.-led effort to drive Iraq from Kuwait. During a 9-day tour throughout Europe in mid-July, President George Bush stopped at Suda Bay Naval Air Station to thank Greece for its continuing support.
And finally, we plan to transfer to Greece from existing NATO stocks a large number of tanks and artillery that will measurably increase Greece's defensive capabilities. Each of these steps reaffirms our close and critical defense relationship with our valued NATO ally, Greece, and our support for Greece's security will not waver.
1991 was a year of world changes which led to pressure to trim the military budget. One means of cutting costs was to begin closing U.S. military facilities worldwide. At the end of June, the 7206th Air Base Group at Helgevold Air Base outside Athens joined a long list of bases ending operations.
What was once the largest U.S. military installation in Greece was turned over to the Greek Air Force following the final retreat ceremony. Only about 40 service members remained on the base during the final days before the closure, but the ceremony brought together more than 200 well-wishers and distinguished guests. 16th Air Force Commander Major General Gerald Daniel was on hand and commented on the new direction of U.S. forces in Europe.
We have experienced many successes in NATO in recent years, and closing U.S. operations at Helgevold and other bases around Europe represents the first step in responding to those successes.
A direct result of Helgevold's closing was a new commander at Iraklion. On July 26th, Colonel Richard Lee relinquished command of the 7276th to the former vice commander at Helgevold, Colonel Don Edwards. 16th Air Force Commander Major General Gerald Daniel officiated the ceremony. The site of July's change of command ceremony represents just one of the many reconstruction projects we saw at Iraklion in 1991. Iraklion dedicated a memorial site during the past year in honor of Lieutenant Colonel William Pugh, who died while commanding the facility in 1957. Newcomers to the base started the new year in a new temporary lodging facility. The TLF opened on December 31st, 1990. The multi-million-dollar leased facility offers Air Force lodging convenience while residents look for permanent housing. After several years of waiting, Iraklion's Robert H. Lee dining facility opened July 1st. The welcome addition to the base offers breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus a midnight meal for shift workers. Iraklion's music and video buffs were excited about the August 1st opening of MWR's Seaview Music and Video Center. The store filled the shelves with compact discs, cassette tapes, and the latest movies. Perhaps the biggest grand opening of the year took place at the new Base Exchange. A throng of eager customers packed the new facility on the morning of August 2nd for the opportunity to spend some time and money in the spacious new BX. All the hard work and preparation for the big day paid off.
I couldn't have asked for any more. It's just been tremendous. It's been a lot of hard work. Our employees have, for the last couple of weeks, have literally lived in this store. I see a lot of smiling faces, a lot of happy people, and it just makes me feel good to know that we're stepping in the right direction.
Building 301 seemed to be in a continual state of reconstruction this year. The security police took over the majority of the first floor with their self-help projects this summer. On November 1st, the CBPO Customer Service Section unveiled their new look with a grand opening ceremony following months of self-help work. The customer service counter is now your first stop when looking for answers. The bowling center was on the reconstruction list for a good part of the fall. First, while awaiting building materials to arrive from Comiso, Sicily, and then standing by while the lanes were installed. League action was interrupted temporarily, but the project was completed ahead of schedule and play resumes soon. After a hot summer, things cooled down considerably at the commissary with the addition of several freestanding cooling units. The units provide more display room and are considerably more energy efficient than their predecessors.
Don't even think about putting away those air conditioners yet. Today's expected high temperature, 102 degrees.
And speaking of hot, Iraklion residents spent another summer doing what comes naturally on an island paradise, just hanging out. Splash Day at the base beach brought together hundreds of base residents at the end of May for a day filled with fun. The Air Force variety show Tops in Blue visited the base in October. The group's patriotic message centered around the contributions made by military members and their families during the war. The 19-member cast and crew entertained throughout the October night to the delight of a huge crowd. At the end of October, the AYA helped us get into the Halloween spirit by putting on a haunted house for all those brave enough to attend. Many of you volunteered your time and talents to help make the event a hauntingly big success. In November, some of Iraklion's finest entertained a standing room only crowd at the 7th annual Puttin' on the Lips lip sync contest. Over 250 people packed the theater to enjoy the event sponsored by the base hospital. A distinguished group calling themselves the Hot Hussies walked away with first place honors after an unforgettable rendition of the 1963 Chordettes hit, Lollipop. The proceeds, totaling over $1,400, were donated to the Kaliviani Girls Orphanage. The girls from the orphanage were on base 2 weeks ago for the annual Christmas party sponsored by the Rec Center and the Chapel. 75 young ladies spent the afternoon with base members who had sponsored them for the day. Each girl received Christmas presents and enjoyed a great meal at the Dia Club. When the Air Base group was looking for a fundraising idea for their Christmas party, the answer was right in front of their face. Well, more specifically, there were pies in front of 6 faces. A half-dozen lucky people donned ponchos following an auction and met face-to-face with Mrs. Smith, the famous pie queen. Being stationed overseas allows service members and their families the opportunity to learn about different cultures. We are exposed to a wide variety of Greek holidays and celebrations throughout the year, and the EBS cameras were on hand for many of them. In July, World War II veterans from several countries converged on the island to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Crete. The veterans toured many of the battle sites on the island and capped off their stay with a colorful parade through the streets of Iraklion.
The sight of these troops and the memories of the hardships endured 50 years ago are still strong in the minds of many, including those who fought here. Men like Jim Carstairs and Jim Casey.
We both shared it here, didn't we?
Yeah, we both knew here. And it is just about maybe 4 months, short of 50 years since we last saw one another.
Oh, it really is.
That is comradeship.
The reunion gave these veterans an opportunity to renew old friendships and exchange old war stories. And many talked about the unique relationship they had with the Cretan people. Families would often adopt the Allied soldiers who had been sent to help liberate their country. Many of these men still refuse to take their well-deserved credit for the Allied victory. Instead, they continue to praise the Cretan people for their part in winning the battles.
We only did our duty. The Cretan people were the heroes. Never forget that, the Cretan. Freedom or death, they taught us that. They're the most wonderful people I ever met in my life.
In mid-August, the Greek people commemorated Armed Forces Day in honor of military members past and present with a wreath-laying ceremony in Iraklion's Liberty Square. The event brought together political and military representatives along with hundreds of spectators. At the end of October, Greeks paid tribute to former Prime Minister John Metaxa with colorful parades through city streets. In the early stages of World War II, Metaxa was approached by a representative from Italy and asked to surrender the island to the advancing Axis powers. The Greek leader's reply was ohi, no, and that bravery helped preserve Greek independence. In November, one of the holiest days of the Greek year was celebrated in Iraklion. Minas is the patron saint of Iraklion, and St. Minas Day services were held at the cathedral bearing his name. A processional through the city streets was led by the Archbishop of Crete, Archbishop Timothy. Greek hospitality is known throughout the world, and their generosity was evident a few weeks ago when the Greek elementary school in Gornez hosted a Christmas party for the second grade class from the Jack R. Kern School. The language barrier didn't stop the kids from making new friends and sharing traditional Christmas songs. The day was highlighted by a delicious meal prepared by parents of the Greek children. Iraklion Air Station prides itself in the excellent cooperation it has with the Greek community. This fall, the base hospital instituted cardiopulmonary resuscitation training for the healthcare providers at Iraklion's major medical facilities. The CPR classes are taught on base, in Greek, by members of the base hospital staff. The knowledge gained through these classes will be used to develop CPR training at schools and hospitals downtown. Iraklion's security police squadron has been recognized in the past for their outstanding achievement, and this summer they sponsored an event that gave them worldwide notoriety. The National Night Out program was developed in the United States in an effort to make the community an active part of crime prevention. Through the hard work of the Security Police Squadron, Iraklion received the Military Award for outstanding participation. The Iraklion community works hard, but it's safe to say that they play equally as hard. In October, many of you formed teams to compete in the annual fire muster. It was a chance to pretend you were a real fireman for a day. 3 events determined the base champions for 1991, and when the smoke cleared, the comm squadron came out on top. Fire Prevention Week wrapped up with the Fireman's Ball, and recognition was given to those who risk their lives every day keeping the base safe. Iraklion Air Station is filled with outstanding achievers, and the year's best were honored at the annual awards banquet on December 7th. Airman of the Year honors went to Senior Airman Elizabeth Hansen of the 6931st Electronic Security Squadron. Tech Sergeant Ricardo Rodriguez of the Security Police Squadron was recognized as the NCO of the Year. Senior Master Sergeant J.R. Williams of the 6931st captured the Senior NCO of the Year award. The SP's Master Sergeant Nate Jones took First Sergeant of the Year honors, and the Company Grade Officer of the Year honors went to Captain Chris Kane, also of the 6931st. Despina Woods was presented the Volunteer of the Year award, and Mrs. Paula Peters was a recipient of the Joan Orr Air Force Wife of the Year award. 1991 was a busy year in sports on base, and when we return, Gino Plyler and Rick Williamson recap all the highlights. A Year in Review returns after this.
Lonely, an adjective. Definition: solitary, standing apart from others of its kind. Isolated. Cause: not sending publicity to AFEBS at least 2 weeks in advance of your event. Cure: Bring your publicity request to EBS in Building 95 next to Contracting. Be sure to include date, time, and location of your event, as well as your signature and contact number. Used in a sentence, with no one at your event, you will be very lonely.
Hey sports fans, how you doing? My name is Rick Williamson.
And I'm Gino Plyler.
And this is the year in sports for 1991. Well, it started off on kind of a low note. The Iraklion's varsity basketball team didn't get to take part in the MSC tournament, which would have been held here because of the war. But then we moved on to a brighter note, softball season.
That's right, Rick. With the war behind us, all the athletes, the All-Stars, gathered down at Pappy Field to take part in softball 91. It was a great season, a lot of outstanding plays, and we're going to see it all, the lowlights, the highlights, the great plays, and those memories that made softball 91 so great with the champion Days Demons. And we're going to see it all right here in a video look back with Robert Tepper.
There's no easy way out.
Enjoy it. Hey, congratulations once again to those Days Demons and Rick Dreher and those hard-charging Warriors, almost as good as the Baltimore Orioles. Now, the Women's League only had 5 teams in 91, but they played just as hard, had some good competition, and once again an exciting season down there at Pappy Field and the Beach Field. And the champions were the Abel Baker Purple Connection. And we're going to take a look back at those highlights from the Women's League 91 with Huey Lewis and a couple days off. Roll it.
1991 was also a good year for tennis and racquetball. Lennox Maynard took the top honors in the tennis championships and at the MSC racquetball tournament held here at Iraklion. Craig Reif and Colonel Redhead came out on top. Plus 2 fledgling bodybuilders hit the scene, Lisa Wilkinson and Chris Glennie. Lisa went up to Bitburg and placed second in her division and won the Most Popular Bodybuilder in Europe award. Chris Glennie is his first time out. He's only had 8 months worth of training, but he still had an honorable mention. Also moving on to football, in the last 14 seconds of the championship game, the SP Outlaws took the victory from small units. And we're going to take a look back at the 1991 flag football season with a video. Here's Hank Williams Jr. and the Iraklion football boogie for 1991.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations to those hard-playing SP Outlaws, although they did get rather lucky beating the very much improved Small Units Wrecking Crew. The first ever championship appearance by a Small Units team, but not the last. Gino Plyler back here with you on the life cycle, getting ready to use my legs. And speaking of using your legs, we had a few athletes take part in some major league running events this year. Major Zielinski, Chief Ryan, Captain Mandoni and Rich Green made a trip along with me up to Athens to take part of the Athens Marathon, and they didn't place in the top 10 or the top 15, but they did very well. Their first marathon, all 4 of them did as well as you could expect if you're running 26 miles, 385 yards. And as you can see right here, they were some tired puppies at the end of that long trek. And about 2 weeks later, believe it or not, they decided to make the long run up to Mount Eadry, the top of the hill, and Major Zielinski came in second. Rich Green didn't take part in this one, but Chief Ryan and the rest did, and as you can see from the highlights here, we had a great time, a good finish, and a good effort put forth by the people of communications. Also, Coast to Coast Run, a charity event, raised lots of money, and as you can see by this video, there were a lot of runners taking part. Some were running, some were walking, and we even had bikers. And you can look for more charity events, the running and the walking type, coming away in 1992, and whatever you do, get out there and support them. Well, that's it, sports fans. The final buzzer has sounded on the Sports Scene 91. But before we get out of here, we got to mention something we almost forgot, and you know what that is, Rick?
The Picks of the Week Award Show, Super Bowl Sunday. Tune in to EBS. We'll have the cutest pick, the worst pick, the best pick, and the best musical score. That's the EBS Picks of the Week, Super Bowl Sunday.
You don't want to miss the singing chaplains for sure. See them again, and they do parties, right?
Very well.
So make plans to be with us Super Bowl Sunday for the Picks of the Week Award Show. That's our show for 1991. We'll see you on the field, on the courts in 1992 on the Iraklion
Sports Scene.
Happy New Year.
"1991, A Year in Review" is a production of Detachment 4, AFEBS. Happy New Year.
living and beat up my sister and